All right, so we're back in the kitchen getting my post-workout meal ready. So you know that it's always a post-workout cream of rice bowl. This is the definitive way to make it perfect every single time. And I might walk you guys through how I do it to make the perfect bowl every time, because it's very simple once you figure it out. And I think after lots of tinkering and using different types of rice flour, different blends of protein, whether it's an isolate or a blend, but we finally nailed it. So I'll show you guys exactly what we do. So just for reference, because everyone always asks what rice flour, if you can see that, it's the Mackenzie's rice flour, the red box. You buy it from any grocery store here in Australia. If you are in Australia, it's Coles or Woolworths. I think it's like $1.70 for a box. So I mean, it's unreal. I weigh out my rice flour. So again, just plain rice flour. I'm having 100 grams. So 100 grams of rice flour in a container, like that. Then, what I've found to be the perfect ratio of water to flour is 5:1. So if I'm doing 100 grams of rice flour, I want 500 mils of water. And what that does is it gives it like a really nice thick consistency, especially, again, like we spoke about hunger management and dieting on this contest prep phase. A little bit more volume is certainly a better thing for me just to manage my hunger. So the way I make this, it ends up being quite big and cakey and full. So it actually works out really nice. So I've zeroed the scales off. I've got my 100 grams of rice flour. I'll go in with 500 mils of water. And I'll just kind of let that mix and then stir it all together so I get a nice even consistency. Literally just mix it all up. Make sure all the rice flour is kind of combined with the water so you got this nice little paste. And then literally all I do is put it in the microwave. So again, depending on how much rice flour, how much water, it will depend on how long you need to cook it for. But with this specific ratio, I just generally go 2 minutes for the first cook. And then I just do it in 30-second blasts for a total of 4 minutes cook time. And after many times of trial and error, that seems to be the perfect ratio for this. So if I do end up having a little bit less, I'll just cook it for maybe 3.5 minutes. I did some more on my refeed day the other day, and I ended up having to cook it for about 6 minutes. So this is perfect for now. So that's all mixed together. Water, rice flour, in the microwave, 2 minutes. All right, so I told you guys it's like a fine science figuring this out, but that's the consistency after 4 minutes of cooking. So it's literally like mashed potato kind of consistency, which is awesome. So you want to let it cool down a little bit and then literally go in with your protein. So again, with protein, it's been a fun journey figuring out which one works best. And typically it's any sort of whey blend does work best. So for me, honestly, this one has been an absolute game changer. This is a choc peanut butter Nitrotech 100% whey. So this is a whey blend. The flavor, unreal. The consistency, unreal. I think what people find most of the time if they use a crappy sort of protein powder, and generally it's like lower quality protein powders as well, ones that do have added digestive enzymes and things like that seem to work worse. Like as soon as you put it in, it just turns to mush and water. This one, done. So as soon as I put that in, you'll see the texture, it gets nice and thick, and then I put some fruit in and I cook it again so I get that cakey core consistency. You don't have to cook it again. You could just put the protein powder in and just eat it that way. But I prefer, like I said, to have it a bit more sort of full, a little bit more volume, and I put the fruit in there as well just to get a little bit more fruit throughout the day as well. All right, so we're done. It's a total of 8 minutes cook time. So I say this to everyone, unless you're really patient, don't bother with cream of rice because there's a few ways you can do it, but obviously the longer microwave kind of cook, stir situation works a lot better. So anyway, that's the consistency where we're working with after 8 minutes of cooking. It's literally like a cake. Like you can tip that, it'll fall out, but I won't do that. But it's literally like a cake. So that's how I prefer it. That sort of consistency, nice, thick, cakey. The one thing that I've started doing now, which is really OCD just because I'm on prep and all these little idiosyncrasies start playing out, is I put my dark chocolate, so it's like 2 squares of dark chocolate, which is like 10 grams. But instead of breaking it up and kind of, getting little squares of chocolate throughout the whole thing, I've gone real bougie and I started grating my chocolate on top. So what happens is when, obviously because it's still pretty hot, I've just got it out of the microwave, the shaved chocolate kind of melts and then I put it in the fridge and eat it later. So I actually prefer eating it cold. You guys can let me know in the comments what you prefer. I'm a cold core advocate. Gabby, my fiance, loves hot core. But especially when it's super hot here, like we're in Queensland, it's stinking hot. And coming home after training, being sweaty and gross, man, nothing is better than having a cold bowl of core straight out of the fridge. So what happens is when you sort of grate the chocolate on top, you kind of get it all over the whole top, it creates this chocolatey layer And then once you put it in the fridge for a couple of hours and it sets, it almost ends up like a, you know, ice magic. If you ever had that as like a hard topping, you can kind of crack into it, which I love. So, and I get more out of the chocolate as well. Like it's only 2 tiny little squares, only 10 grams of dark chocolate. So it means I can get more like coverage with that dark chocolate. So I'll show you guys how this looks once I'm done anyway. And that is it. Post-workout core done, nice and cakey. We've got our melted chocolate layer on top. I'll put that in the fridge for a couple of hours and I'll have that later in the day. Today, obviously not training, so it'll be like post-cardio, but still same timing, like post-workout. And all I'll do once I get home is I'll put a little bit of salt on that. I might put some like sugar-free syrup, and that is my post-workout meal every day. Super simple, delicious, filling, love it.